So we're going to have meeting in the mind. So the mindsets. We've got 2 mindset coaches this week, and we're going to just have so much fun just, testing each other out and see how that goes. Listen to Lynda Malka as we begin talking about mindset. However, but first,
facing head-on the emotions beneath the surface as we bridge from an old world of confusion and lack to a beautiful new world of freedom, abundance, and love with straightforward truth and inspired hope is what you'll find on The Charla Anderson Show. Collector and connector of fascinating people. And everyone is fascinating. Here's your host, Charla Anderson.
well, good, beautiful day, you beautiful, beautiful souls. This is Charla Anderson, host of The Charla Anderson Show, collector and connector of fascinating people. And everyone is fascinating, especially you. So we're going to have meeting in the mind. So the mindsets. We've got 2 mindset coaches this week, and we're going to just have so much fun just, testing each other out and see how that goes. Listen to Lynda Malka as we begin talking about mindset. However, but first, we're going to do a little breathing exercise, and that breathing exercise is going to breathe in some calm for 7 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and breathe out gratitude for 11 seconds. So here we go. Breathe in some calm with me. Hold. Relax, release. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't you think being still and knowing just for a few seconds a day is a good idea? Anyway, I'm so grateful to have Lynda Malka we know each other through Prosper and Brenda Byers, and cannot wait for you to hear who she is and what she's all about, because she's a dynamo. And so, Lynda.
Thank you.
So happy to have you with me. So let's, who are you in this world? Let's talk about that.
Thank you for having me on, too. I appreciate that. Well, I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm a Gigi. We were just talking about that. And I'm a former educator, but now I've turned all of my talents into being an intuitive mindset coach for women, and also a business mentor. And I love working with women who understand what it feels like to not be fully living into their purpose. I spent a lot of years living smaller than I was created to be, doubting myself, dismissing myself, and the call in my life, because I just thought it was too late, or it was just too much to do. I didn't know where to begin. So I love helping women step into that with me now.
That's awesome. I know that you say it's not, we're not broken. It's not too late. It's not, just to become who we're called to be, right? And that is a mindset. And so many of us, I think that I'm in a similar time frame of life when is that all there is? The women that get to that transitional stage, their kids are gone, or their job is, unfulfilling, or they're, and that they want to contribute and they don't know where to start or how to start. So that seems like it's what you're called to.
It seems like so many of us have gone through things, right? We've survived things that we didn't think we'd ever talk about, let alone learn from. Like, it took me a while to realize there were lessons in some of the things that I went through, with the childhood trauma, with an abusive marriage, with losing a job that I loved and cherished so much, right? There's just a little bit of yourself that can go with those things. And then there are also stories that we absorb and agree with when we don't actually say, wait, that's not me. And we let people speak over us, the well-meaning people, right? Our parents, our teachers, pastors, whoever impacted our lives meant well. It's just that we gleaned a message from that maybe wasn't intended.
Absolutely. We get things, and we make up stories about things, right? Something
We do.
happens, we make up a story, we plant the
Mhm.
story back here in the back of our noodle and never think never realize that it's driving our lives. You make a bad grade and up in seventh grade, and you plant it back here, and you go, I must be stupid, is the story you make up, when the fact is you just made an F, or you just didn't study, or whatever it was.
Right.
But see, I told you I was stupid. See, I told you I was stupid. Everything it's driving their life when they're
It
not
does.
really, it's not who they are, but it's who they become because they say it over and over. And I'm always saying every word matters, right? So
It does. Every thought plants a seed, right? So grow what you truly want. And the other thing is once that seed is in there, it's kind of like when you get a new car and you see them everywhere where you
the
didn't
same
even notice
style,
them before.
yeah.
So those thoughts, we go around collecting evidence. See, it, like you just said, see, I'm not, I used to think I wasn't good at math. Now I realize math is a growth area, but every single opportunity was like, it's a math thing. I don't do math, it, we do that in so many areas of our lives. It's this tape that's playing in the background the whole time. The volume is so low, we don't know. And it creates our reality if we don't actually figure out a way to change the tape.
And yeah, those little voices never shut up. Then they're never going to tell you, oh, yeah, go try that. It's, that's something new. Go try that. They will never,
Right?
the voices will never encourage you to do something that's never been done before, even if what's been done before was not fun or good or happy. It's just what it knows, safe. So
Exactly.
that's so great. So, I talk so much. I mean, when I started this, the Charla Anderson show, it's like I want to talk and hear stories of hope and people overcoming, and how did they do that, and what are they offering, and we don't ever want to turn around and face, how can I say this? So often, I think in a lot of maybe therapies, and you focus on what happened and stay there, right? You don't
Right.
turn it around to looking forward to what's possible. And that's why I like to talk to people about all this. It's like, so you've had some trauma. I mean, my guest last week, I cried. I don't, it's just not normal for me to do that. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So
There's been people that have been through stuff.
And everybody's got a story or more, multiple stories. But
yes.
So do you have any? Oh, is it okay to talk about some things that you've overcome, and
Yes.
and how that, when you finally realize, wow, I can do more than I thought I could do.
Yes, absolutely. That's why we're here, and if I don't talk about it, other people won't know, oh gosh, I've been through that. And she's okay now. So I can be okay now. Right. At some point. So, I mean, I wrote it. So I wrote a chapter in a book last summer, and I wrote about some of the trauma that I had experienced. I actually realized like I kind of re-traumatized parts of myself writing it, but it was good. God was like, it's time to get this out. It's time to talk to people. It's time to talk about it. And one of the things was when I was 6 years old, moved into a brand new neighborhood in Hawaii. Somebody came by, I think it was probably a mover with the crew moving us in, came by, asked where we lived. Can you show me? I got in the car. Thank God, after he finished molesting me, he pushed me out of the car because I was too much of a crier. So I realized I played a part in that because I didn't actually stand up for myself. And then afterward, when it was assumed that I had just walked and gotten lost, I didn't correct anyone. I just let that story speak for a long time until I started becoming a mindset coach. And when you become a coach, as you know, you deal with your own things because you don't want your stuff to be triggered while you're helping a client, right? So all of that came roaring back to me. And I realized like I stuffed the trauma. and I worked with a gal named Celeste. We did some EMDR, and how she explained it made so much sense to me. I love to explain it to people this way. When we go through things, when we go through trauma, if we can't deal with it in the moment, we kind of shove it behind a plexiglass wall. We just keep shoving anything in there that we can't deal with behind the wall until something actually triggers it. And that is a process like tuning forks. If you hold two tuning forks of the same tune, you can put one in your hand and one across the room. And when you strike the one in your hand, the one across the room could be way, way far away, sounds off eventually. And it's the same thing with the things that we have been through and with our trauma. Something will eventually trigger it unless we actually heal it when it comes up and deal with it so that that is no longer something that impacts us the way that it used to. Does that make sense?
EMDR, you might as well define it because not everybody will know what that is.
I don't even know
Emotional.
It's dealing with trauma in a kind of a physical way, because she kind of has you picture a calm, peaceful place, and then she has you talk about the trauma, and then she's like, okay, go back to your peaceful place.
Who is
it's
she?
okay now. Celeste, she's the
Okay.
therapist that I was working with. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, sorry, your audience is going to have to look that up because I didn't do it for very long. I've done multiple things to actually deal with the trauma. And I think a lot of people have to do that. I don't
And
think
you've got to
one
love that little
formula
girl.
works.
You've just got to
You
love that little girl.
do.
She didn't know better. And I'm guessing that the vast majority of people that are walking right now and in the past have experienced horrific things.
Yes.
And then I didn't have the courage to say anything. I was too shy. I didn't want, what did I, it was my fault, whatever, all of those
Yes.
horrific things that we've survived and
you shut down the little girl because you have to actually function. Right? You have to actually get through the day and function. And, it wasn't until years later that I actually, like I said, it came up and I dealt with it, and I'm a strong believer things come up to be healed when you're ready. I wasn't ready at 6 years old. Right? I'm ready. I was ready later. And that happens for a lot of us as well. We try, and the other thing is you try to make sense of it. You try to make sense of some of the trauma you've been through. And sometimes it just is. There is no making sense of it. It just was.
And honestly, I do believe we can, there are modalities that can offer you the opportunity to rewrite the story, right? Whatever we get to choose, it's all choice. And we get to choose if we're going to stay in the trauma and the drama and let it drive our lives for the rest of our lives, or are we going to go, it happened. I deal so much in what's so. So what's so right this second is you and I talking. And what's so is there's not one other place to be than where we are right this second, right? Everything since Let There Be Light has drawn us or brought us to this moment in time. And all of that, versus my 71 years, all of that has brought us to this split second. And we can't change one of those things. But we can change the next word and the next step. And if we don't like where we are, I love where we are, but if you don't like where you are, you can change your words.
Make a different choice.
You can make a different choice and take that next step. And coaches are amazing at, many, I think most of them are amazing at working with you in that moment. So this mindset, we can change our minds. We can change, we can rewrite that story, or we can frame it in a different way and get that healing out and be real, be who you are, who you're called to be. and who are you meant to be and who you will bless others by being.
Yeah. And there's this divide, right? There's what was and what can be, right? So part of mindset is what's your vision for moving forward? What's your vision for who you want to be? What's your vision for where you want to be, right? And also the belief and the knowledge that we're given everything we need. If you've got that idea in your head, if the seed is planted in your head, you have everything you need to grow it.
So I see you've got a quote, every thought plants a seed, and choose the ones that grow with what you truly want, right? So
yes.
Yeah.
So we don't realize that when that's one of the things when you keep reliving the stuff, that's where your focus is, right? So that's what I'm planting more of. So if I don't want to keep planting that and reaping that crop, plant something else. I love garden analogies.
I can tell. I love that too. That's awesome. And then, but every word matters and every thought matters. And
yes,
we can't. Feelings are not right or wrong. Feelings have, it's just how you
they just are
how you deal with them. Yeah, they are, and they don't have a value of right or wrong. So
no,
you've got to be able to manage them. You don't have a feeling I hate that person, right, and then hurt somebody, but you got to learn. And I'm not sure that a lot of our society is gaining those lessons that were, it's like they got to act on what they feel, and that's not true.
Well,
that is
to
not
be honest,
the truth.
Right. And where is it taught? Where even when I was in school, where are you taught to deal with things and how to deal with things? We're not. Unfortunately, we're not equipped very well that way, unless you have very stellar parents who actually teach you in amazing steps, and we're all doing the best we can, right?
Yes, I'm looking for my granddaughter. I have a book it's her favorite book, just one of her favorite books, but it's called Listen. I had it sitting right here, and it's not here right now. Listening to My Body, and it's since the difference in sensations and in feelings, and how and gives you ideas of how to manage them when you're your process and breathing and we do tapping. She's learning tapping and karate chop and
that's so good.
Yeah, so she's got her affirmations, and I'm like, okay, you get upset, what can you do? And
yes.
She says breathe, and one of them is horse lips. He's so angry at his sister, and then he starts to realize that he can breathe and he can move the puzzle that was broken, and he can and finding problem solving skills, right, and using them. And horse lips, she loves doing the horse lips, and that's he said start just buzz through your lips and just to get that feeling out, and then pretty soon you feel silly and then you kind of laugh, and then so it's just a fun book. And
I love that you're doing that. I mean that is equipping her.
As soon as she could really talk, and she would say, I would start at I am, and she would go happy. Well, now she's got she remembers them without reminding, but if she's got we added helpful and strong and smart and trustworthy is one of my favorites. I am trustworthy. Good. And then when I say, can I trust you? You're trustworthy, right? So I'm going to trust you to sit right here while I go, do this. And so mindset and affirmations and telling yourself who you are. And if you don't believe it, it still is helpful to begin speaking what you desire. I always said in my books, Split Second Transformation, Change Your Words, Change Your Life, 31 Daily Practices. It says speak what you want, not what you don't want. And our mentor and coach, Brenda Byers, with Prosper in all things, she's like, want means lack. She reminded us of that. I'm sure I knew it, but now I change it to speak what you desire
Yes.
not what you don't. And desire is of the Father or of the
Other.
giver. So speak what you
Yeah.
desire, not what you don't.
Yes. And you know, you brought up a really good point, and that is if we speak it and we don't think that's us yet, sometimes it's easier to look at somebody that you actually and want to be like, right? You want to emulate them. They're like somebody you're like, oh, I wish I was like her. Oh, she's so amazing. Just start envisioning yourself being like that, right? Because we can borrow somebody else until we can get ourselves there, right?
That's awesome.
Sometimes that
Yes, yes,
actually
yes.
helps a whole lot to go, okay, well, she does that. I am nice. She's nice. I did it. You can actually work your way up there like a ladder, right?
She's got poise. I have poise. You can see
Right? Or
that
you can
whatever
even model it, right? You can
emulate.
model
Yeah.
it. What feels right for you though, right? We don't want to become a puppet of somebody else because we're unique. We're made differently than they are. But you can model some of the things that you like to see, you know. I don't know.
And
I'm trying.
yeah, this is masterful. I believe that this could be, people can just listen to this and get hope that they too can step into something bigger than what they feel like
Where
they
they are
are.
now.
So
And
you've just got to take that first step. And Lynda, Lynda, by the way, I meant to do this in the beginning. Lynda, Lynda,
yes,
with a Y, and then Malka, Malka.
Malka.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
.com, right? Is how one way
Yes.
they can find you. So I
That's my
like to
website.
probably need to toss that in there. So if
Thank
somebody's
you.
looking for an amazing mindset coach in California, but it doesn't matter,
Thank you. Or even online. Um,
wherever.
One of the things I want to go back to that you mentioned too, Charlotte, is feelings, right? And how feelings, dealing with feelings and what feelings do. One of the things that we've been told by Brenda that I don't know that I knew before is that feelings have a vibration, right? And I think that where we are vibrating energetically, because we all do, every living thing has a vibration, we're going to attract it like a magnet. So if we can work ourselves up just bit by bit by bit by bit to a better feeling, like we can go from worry to disappointment, from overwhelm, try to get up to just, okay, I'm a little frustrated, go from frustrated to, okay, I don't know how to respond to this, then try to get to, okay, things are just okay right now, to, oh, I like that, right? It's a slow progression. And some days we can only get to the next rung in the ladder. But I feel like it's a bit like a swimming pool. If our legs are dangling in the low vibration water, they're going to get wet with all the low vibration things, right? So if we can get ourselves up to a place where we're not hanging in the ceiling of all of those things, we'll actually start to see our life feel better, even if it may not be significantly better, if that makes any sense. And I know
Well,
that's easier said than done sometimes. I get that.
totally. And there are keys. And the number one key to getting a mindset shift is gratitude. And if you can just every single day, my little one, I'm having her do, gratitude before bed. So she has that mindset at night, and then she wakes up and
Mm-hmm.
does affirmations. So that's the plan. And
Yeah,
so,
it's a good
but
plan.
but gratitude, even if you can't think of anything to be thankful for, if there are people in the throes of depression that just could not. There's nothing.
No, there's no
But
light. It's all
but
dark. Yes.
but one of the really the two best ways to start getting out of that is, first of all, gratitude. And you go, okay, can't think of anything to be thankful for, but I'm grateful I have toenails. I mean,
Right?
something. It doesn't
I'm
have
breathing.
to be much. And breathing,
Yeah.
oxygen. I have a
I
mentor that
woke
says,
up this
keep breathing
morning.
free oxygen. And I say, yeah, on this side of the dirt in Texas.
Right?
but,
Exactly.
but, I'm outrageously optimistic. I have that mindset. And I wasn't always. I wasn't always. And it's not
Yeah,
certainly not
same.
100% of the time, but it is the vast majority because I'm choosing every day to live in gratitude. There's another really good exercise that once you get some gratitude going, and start forgiving yourself and forgiving the forgiveness piece of things.
That's a big piece.
It's a
A
big
lot of
piece,
people
but people
well,
are
they figure out
resistant to
if,
that. They can't
yeah.
imagine that
Well, they figure out how to forgive someone else a lot sooner than they realize they need to forgive themselves. Right? For me, who was in a marriage that was so not great, I got to where I could forgive him. It took me a long time to forgive myself for making that choice for myself. Right? And it was a missing piece for a long, long time.
good. Thankfully, you did figure that out, and because he's walking around doing his life, and you're walking around
Not aware.
hating, totally destroying your life, and this angst.
And that happens to a lot of people, right? I mean, honestly, when we were first divorced, I couldn't imagine ever forgiving. And then I realized what you just said, that forgiveness wasn't for him. He's out walking around having grand old time. It was for me, so that I could actually sever all of those emotions and all of that yuck and send it away from me. And then it still would come up, my daughters, as they would struggle with different things within the relationship with both of us, their dad and me. And I'd be, I'm so sorry. Sorry I made that choice. But I didn't forgive me. And then when I finally went, okay, you know what? I was doing the best that I could with what the tools I had and with what I knew at the time. And when we can get to that place, it makes a big difference in moving forward, right? What are you going to
This
show
tiny
us?
little book, Candy Bar Hugs, it doesn't take much to make a difference. I quote from it all the time. I wrote it in 2017. It's a 25-minute read on Audible. But it's Candy Bar
Love
Hugs.
that.
It doesn't take much to make a difference. And what I wrote in the dedication to my kids is, it's like, I did what I did. I didn't do what I didn't do. I did all
Yeah.
that I knew to do with what I knew at the time, just
Yes.
like you did and are doing in your life right now. I love you. And I call it a forgiveness release. I did what I did. I mean, I can't change one thing I said or did, not one. I can acknowledge it now and say, look, man, I only knew, I wish I'd have done it different, but I didn't. And I can only tell you, let's make a new agreement moving forward, right? We can do something different moving forward, even if we can't moving back. So this, it's truly a gift to ourselves to, it was like, it's kind of flippant at one time. Oh, yeah, you did what you did and you did. And I was like, actually, it's pretty deep when you stop to think about it, because
It is.
I did what I did and I didn't do what I didn't do, but it wasn't about you. And so few things people say or do to someone is so rarely about you, right? It's about, it's them. You might trigger something in them they choose to say something hurtful or do something hurtful.
Yeah.
It's so rarely really about the person. And
Yeah, I call it an ish them versus an ish you. Right? Sometimes it's an ish them. It has nothing to do with you, why they react or why they do whatever they do. But here's a nugget about forgiveness. When we get to a place where we are able to forgive, we not only bless generations in front of me. I blessed my daughters by being able to forgive their dad, be in the same room, do holidays, all of that stuff, because they don't have the divided stuff, right? But you're also healing the past generations. The stuff that my mom and dad didn't know. They didn't divorce. They were together the whole time, but they didn't know different ways to equip, right? It just heals all of it.
That's
It's
beautiful.
amazing.
That's truly a truly a beautiful concept. Right. I mean, the crud can stop here with us, with you and me, and from
Yes.
where it was. And when you just, you just be, I wish we could learn. When I first started getting that word to just be, I didn't have to strive so hard. I can just be and just let life flow. And it's a hard concept for most of us. We think we got to do, right? So, just being and relaxing and releasing and letting it go. Michael Singer, if you've ever read Untethered Soul and some of those things, it's like, he said, we get so upset somebody cuts us off and we're all upset. And I'm like, well, they probably, now I'm trying like, yeah, well, they probably need to go to the bathroom better, more than me or something like that. I just kind of make it lighter, and so few people are doing things to you, even though we want to take it personally. And the Four Agreements, is the number one book I recommend.
So good.
But Michael Singer says, picture. So here we are, out of billions and billions and billions and billions of people in the past and in the future, 8 billion right now. We're a pinprick in eternity, a pinprick.
Yep.
And we're going to use our little pinprick of years upset over everything.
Yeah.
Why? And what if we could just, it's what happened, and instead of getting so wrapped up in the anger and the the drama. I'm like, I gave up attachment to drama, and I'm like, I just don't. And this is back, I can tell you when it was, 2013, I think. And I was like, I don't think I had a lot of it anyway, generally speaking, but I'm like, I just kind of walk around oblivious, to the mess that people want to keep attacking me with. And I have some older former grandkids, step grandkids, or whatever you want to call them. I don't see them much anymore, but I gave them tools of, protection. I said, nobody can hurt your feelings without your permission. Nobody can make you angry without your permission. You get to choose if that's going to be, you're going to receive it. No, and bullies are victims too. I talk about that in this little tiny book.
They definitely
bullies are victims too, and it doesn't mean you. So another quote from that book that I wrote is unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness, not unconditional boundaries. You don't have to. So when this is a thing, when we forgive, we often think
you got to open the front door again.
We got to let them in. And I'm like,
no.
My message is always unconditional love, unconditional love. And then I was like, people might take that also means, you have to be with them. That doesn't mean that at all.
No. You're right. You're so right. But moving on to, if you're okay with it, if we can kind of also address the fact that sometimes the things that happen in our lives that cause us pain, like for me, when I lost a job that I loved, I created a charter school program for people that homeschooled their kids. And I ran it for 14 years, and then it was gone. It was like a family, right? It was like my little family. And then one year it was like, yep, this is your role here is done. It wasn't, but here's the thing. I had hints that it was time to move on. And I think God does that. Like he goes, hello, keep going. Hello, move along. And you don't. And then he has to really do something to get your attention, right? And move you along.
This season is over, and I'm like,
what? Well, I'm not done with this season.
What do you mean? I lost mine too, a flight attendant. 34 years. It was the dream job for me.
Yeah, devastating, isn't it? But I had somebody say it was, and I was mourning the heck out of that until I had a friend say to me, Lynda, listen, it sounds like you were not willing to move along and change what you were doing. So it was changed for you. Your pipeline was opened up so something else could come in. I was like, oh, wow, okay. I didn't like that whole process, or as my friend says, it was a gift. It was a gift wrapped in sandpaper, but a gift nonetheless.
Sandpaper.
Sometimes,
That's great.
right? Sometimes we have these encounters and these things and these teachable moments in our lives that are like that. They're gifts wrapped in sandpaper because we didn't actually learn when it was a little emery board against our fingernails, right? That would have been so much easier to do that. That doesn't hurt much. No, sometimes people, the only time they'll change really big changes is through pain. We're motivated by pain and we're motivated by what? Reward. Most people choose pain.
They don't know they're choosing it, but it is
No,
still their choice.
Exactly. So what mindset is about is like, okay, listen, before it gets to the gift wrapped in sandpaper stage, take a look around the landscape and like make a choice that is actually growing something in the direction you want to be. And so for you, when your flight attendant job went away, what came into your pipeline? What was the immediate next thing that you did?
I don't know. I didn't know what to do, but so many things happened in the moment. And my dad died right after that. But, there's just a lot of things were coming at me at the same time. And I guess I had the more flexibility to be at certain places than I might otherwise. But yeah, so
was there like a time of reflection where you actually kind of got to know pieces of Charla that you didn't give time to?
Yes, and so that was in 2008. So it's been a while since that time frame, and I don't think I was recognizing it at the time. I was thinking that at that time, I just, I had my identity, who I am as a flight attendant, right? Who I am was a mom, and my kids were just moving out of. I still am a mom, but they were leaving that same time frame, and then anyway, I just
you had lots of changes at one time.
I did a lot, and then I retired, and I went to my sister's and stayed with her while my dad was sick and dying, and died, and for the first 3 weeks of my retirement, I was not even home. And it, that's an interesting question because I hadn't thought of it in that regard. I did I had no idea that networking existed. I didn't know that there were leads groups. I didn't know. I started collecting.
I didn't know there were life coaches at one point. I was like, I remember meeting somebody saying, I'm a life coach. And I'm like, that's a thing.
What is that?
I didn't know.
We don't know what we don't know, and that's where
we don't.
That thing we don't know. It's a blind spot. That's where we stack all these things that happen to us that we make stories up about it. We're going back to that, but that's where they stack. That's where they get stuck, and there's a blind spot back here, and you don't know what you don't know.
No,
you know what you know, and you know what you don't know. You don't know what. Let me see. You know what you know, and you know that you don't know things, but you don't know what you don't know. There's 99% of the world. You've got this experience, and you know about surgeons. You just aren't one, right? So you know what you don't. You know enough.
I don't know. I don't know that.
Right? Oh my gosh.
I know I don't know that, and I'm not going to try that.
Yeah, but then all the rest of the universe has. If we're in the shape of a pie, right? We know what we know. We know what we don't know, but we don't know what we don't know. Right?
And but the thing is, I don't know about you, but when my job went away, my beloved job went away, I realized some major things because I had time and I had stillness and I had to fill that time. And sometimes that time was thinking, right? And thinking and thinking. And one of the things that I realized was my natural rhythm is not the rhythm of a bell schedule at a school.
Wow.
I realized I do a lot better. I used to have to get up way wee hours of the morning to get me ready, to get my children ready to go to school and commute and all that. I don't like rushing like that. When I have my druthers, I have a routine. I'd like to get to my routine, right? But my routine doesn't start at 5:30 a.m. necessarily for me, right? And And then it was times to think about, well, what do I want to do next? Well, what are my gifts and talents? Well, I'm not sure what that means. I went to a charter school conference one time. Here I am. I'm the program coordinator of my program. I co-founded it. I'm running it. And this guy says to me that I'm meeting and chit-chatting with, networking, as you say, says, what are you passionate about? Crickets. I had no idea. No idea. I had just come out of this marriage and divorced and still doing the single mom thing and doing the job thing. I had no answer. And I know I'm not alone. I know there are a lot of people out there that have no idea what they're meant to be doing next because the thing they were doing is gone. And that's
I might add, what do you like? What do you do for fun is a really good question too, because somebody I'm like,
fun. What's fun?
I work. I mean, I write. I talk to people. That's what I do for fun. And that's that's a big question for me, even currently. I'm like, I love that Brenda has the
salsa dancing
passion, and when she had nothing, she decided, what do I want to do? And it was dance. And she's been dancing and for years now. And
and she's really good. But she dedicated to something that lit her up, right? And a lot of times when we're dealing with situations that we're overcoming, we don't have the margin to figure out what lights us up, right? Until we get to a place where we're safe enough or removed enough from the ick to be able to go, okay, now what do I want to do? And that's really what she describes, is like she's sitting in a house that she had rented and there was not much in it. She could actually take the time to think. And so that's one of the things that I'll encourage my clients to do is get somewhere, go somewhere, sit at a library for a little bit and just give yourself that time to think, to breathe, to be, to just get to that next, okay, what would I do? If time was
turn off some of the distractions for
exactly,
and because there's noise 100% of the time if you allow it. So just be still and know. There's a wise.
That's what you said. If you were saying that when we were chatting, right? And so if money is no object, if you have all the time you need, what would you do? And so
that's a really hard question for a lot of people, including me.
Right. And so then you have to go, well, what would you do if you wouldn't even get paid for it? One of my other things I do is I do digital graphic designs. I would do that for free. I don't do it for free. Thankfully, it's become a business, but I love creating. I love creating. I love doing crafts. I sew. I garden, as we were talking about earlier. Like I have my whole vegetable garden. And effort, I got to say, when I was in my 30s and my mother was gardening, I'm like, oh, Lordy, that's for old ladies. I love it. I'm just like, I'm so sorry, Mom, that I said that. But whatever it is, whatever turns people on, right? Some people love, they will bike ride. Some people love going to, we have a community of elderly people. They love to go and help them with whatever they need. Oh, you need errands done? I'll go do that. Everyone has something they would do, even if they didn't get a dime for it.
That's what your passion. And this is another thing from this tiny book, Candy Bar Hugs. Doesn't take much to make a difference. Is what if you don't have to search for your passion? What if your passion is, this is in the introduction of this book. I was like, what if your passion or purpose, we're talking passion, purpose is what came to mind here, but your purpose is how you treat people right in front of you. It's who you are. It's your character as you move, through the world, that people are, you either attract or repel people, and it's, and a lot of it is that vibration you were talking about earlier. Yeah. The complaining is a very low vibration.
You get the people who are living in a cloud, you can feel them coming. I'm just going to say, because they suck the life right out of you. And you were talking about books that you did. Well, that's one of the things I did this whole mindful moments mindset coloring book, because it's got a left page that's got a little motivational thing in a coloring page.
Oh, I love that.
So it actually gives people, so this one's about failures are not endpoints, but rather stepping stones. How funny that it opened to this one.
Ah,
Each experience that you view as a failure provides you with a valuable learning opportunity, right? And it goes on to talk about that. So each page of here just talks about something regarding mindset that people may not be aware of, right? We're not aware that we view it as a failure and not a growth lesson.
so
That
just
tells you
hold
that.
your book up again and speak the words so people can find this beautiful coloring book with
This is called
on
Mindful
Amazon.
Moments. Yes, it's on Amazon, and it's an adult mindset reset coloring book.
Mindful Moments. Okay, so that's awesome. The link will be in the stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, there aren't a whole lot out there that do that. They don't have one page that's kind of like some really great words to help you and then color. Because I mean, the process of coloring does something different to the brain, right? It neutralizes some things. It puts you over in the creative side, gets you out of the thinking side, so that you can actually just absorb.
That's beautiful. And
it was a fun thing to create.
I mean, was that yours? I mean, I know you're graphically, you can do anything. You just got to master
Thank you.
a mastery at that.
I've been gifted.
Brenda uses you all the time.
Yeah, she does.
But
the words are mine. It just came to me once I started collecting all of the expect miracles, find the courage to let go of what you cannot change. Once I started gathering some of the sayings and then putting them in a graphic, I'm like, there needs to be a little bit more than this. So,
well, it's got the hook. I mean, it's a great gift. I would think it would be awesome to just have those and offer to, your teacher gifts, or
I do, yeah,
all of those things.
Yeah,
I mean,
friends that are having some occasion that don't have one yet.
Yeah, that would be really very cool.
Yeah, but it's the same as you. Like it just stops the brain from going down the same ruts over and over again, right? So we've all seen a car that's stuck in the mud and the wheels just spin. I mean, that's very similar to when we go down those pathways that are well worn in. We don't go anywhere. But if we go, oh, you know what? I've done this when I've driven and I've seen mud. I'll go like on the outside of those if I can. And then I know, like, okay, hopefully I won't get stuck at least this time and get through to the other side, right? And it's the same with our thoughts. Go a different path. The road less traveled, right? Choose something else.
And yeah, when everybody zigzag, I mean, that's another.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Brenda says, if everybody's going this way, let's go that way. In fact, I don't know if you know who Susie Toronto is, but she's got this
I do.
fun, that's my calendar every year. I just love it. And this month it says when everybody zigzags. So, you're
like right there.
Yeah.
Right
so
there.
We want to take this act, just consider when we say every word matters and every thought matters, which was where we started.
Yes.
When you, and I want to say in the vibrational phrase, this is where I'm trying to get back to the vibration of words, the vibration of energy, the vibration, when people come to my house, the service people, they don't want to leave. We have long conversations. They're kind of staying in my space because
I'm not surprised.
They like my energy, right? They love my energy. And I'm 71 years old. It's not arrogance to even say that. It's authority that Jesus gave us the authority to say what, we can do what he did and even more, and that we can just love and accept people. You don't have to, you don't have to live with them.
No, but it's the second Avatar movie. I don't know if you're an Avatar movie fan, but on the second Avatar movie, there's a phrase that he uses with his son that he just gets so frustrated with and he just can't deal with. And he finally at the end goes, I see you. And that's all people want. I see you, right? we're all hungry to be seen.
And heard.
Unless you're in a situation that's traumatic, right? And then you're hiding. So time to stop hiding, time to get safe, get to a place where people can see you, because we're all here for a reason. If I say this thing, if you're still living, if you're still breathing, if you're watching this and hearing this, there's a purpose for your life still. Otherwise, you'd be gone.
And we've all been provided for. Every last one of us have been provided for if we can take a breath. We may not like where we are, but if we have been provided for. I say, I ain't skinny. I've been provided for. And, you might be in a gutter, and you may or may not think that it's your fault, but you don't. You have a choice to take the next breath or next step or whatever, and speak a new word. Yes. So we've been provided for, and I say the same thing. If you can take a breath, and you have a purpose, you have an opportunity to change your life right this second by making a different choice. Mm-hmm. For most of us, it may not be right this second, but really, you've got the opportunity to live the life you were designed to live. And don't wait till you feel ready or perfect to start showing up as who you are. Who are you created to be? You're not here to be a copy of someone else. You're one of a kind with a purpose. Yes. Only you can fulfill. And if you're ready to finally stop second guessing yourself and start living from a place of faith, freedom, and fire, come connect with Lynda Malka. That was her call to action. That's your call to action. Yeah. And so LyndaMalka.com and createdtobloom.com. We didn't mention that one, but that's created.
There's a number two in there.
To bloom.com for your more the creative side, the graphic side of things, right?
Yeah, and the business mentoring, yes, because we have these co-working days where you can come in and join us and just do your thing. A lot of people like to be involved, bootstrap. We do that. We walk with you. So that's so cool.
So the co-working, you're talking about everybody's on Zoom and just doing their designated time that they are going to work on a designated thing, and everybody, and then you come kind of together if you have a question or if you want to. So it's an accountability group. It sounds like
it's like a think tank. Right? If somebody comes and they go, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to do this, but I'm not really sure how to do that. People go, well, why don't you try this? What do you think about that? And what a great idea. Or I'm trying to hook this thing up to the Canva form into my website. I'm really not sure how to do that. Well, click that button, do that, boom. Right? So we just kind of walk them through all kinds of things. And in our vault, so that's part of our vault membership. So in our vault, we also have journal forms, journal templates, and calendar templates, and all kinds of things in there that you can actually brand your brand on them and use them as your opt-ins and things like that. Because those are the areas where entrepreneurs get stuck, right? If you're trying to do a business, I had a gal that I used to work with in network marketing, and she said, if you can be stuck, you will be. If you can be stopped, you will be. And I was like, what does that mean? Well, I get what it means. It means that you'll eventually come to a place where you're like, I don't know how to do that. And you find yourself, I did a video on this, cleaning the toilet with a toothbrush just not because you want to or love it, but because it's like not doing that thing.
I saw that video and it cracked me up. So she's cleaning the toilet and go with a toothbrush, and she said, "When I feel stuck, I'd rather clean the toilet with a toothbrush than to break through that thing."
Exactly. And a lot of people do
busy work,
our avoidance things that we do. I just took them to the extreme.
That was fun. It was a cute video. And another thing I like maybe a fun fact, and this to me, your dog, it's not about you, it's about your dog, has the most piercing light blue eyes. They're like, and that there was you were in the car or something, but that one eye, I'm like, whoa. What is that?
Yeah, she's an Aussie Doodle, so it's the Australian Shepherd in her. Her mama had the blue eyes and threw the blue eyes into her, as the breeder said. But yeah, they're amazing. My younger daughter put up a picture of Star Wars. What is it, Lord Palpatine and Sheba, and said, "Who wore it best?"
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this has been so much fun. I love, this is my highlight of my week, this hour that I get to just have conversation, right? So it's just fun
I
for
can
me.
get
And
that.
I find out so many cool things and interesting things. And I feel like we collaborate together. We both do similar things in
Yes.
some ways. So,
Yeah.
Lynda Malka, and Lynda with a Y, Malka.
Lynda with a Y. Yeah.
Created
Thanks,
two
Charla.
bloom with a two, number two, bloom.com. We just, so any last words, anything you would just really like to leave with our listeners today?
You know, we're all here to bless this world in some way. We are all here. And so we can spend a lot of time in wishing what had been, or we can spend a lot of time creating what will be. And it is through networking and partnering with women like you, like me, that happens. We have this find the women, find your tribe that are out there just waiting to give you a hand up. They're out there waiting to help you. We're here. I'm here. You're here. Reach out. I've loved to hear from women that have been where I've been, that are, how did you do it? Connect with me. I'm here. So, and you're here, Charla. So thank you so much for sharing time with us.
And you're a light, and we don't carry judgment. We've all got stuff.
Oh boy, yes.
We all got stuff. So,
yes.
We don't carry judgment.
The goal is to not pack it with you everywhere you go.
Let go of some of those heavy bags that we lug around everywhere.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be fun? Won't it be fun when you're free and light and laughing?
It is when the load is lighter. It totally is. There's so much else that we are meant to do, and we get cleared to do it, right?
We actually are, and I wish I would have it over here. It's a little quote that I found years ago. It's like, no, some people will only hear the way you tell it. They will only hear help or hurt, your story, the way you tell it,
Amen.
And that's
Amen
not the
to
quote.
that.
That's not the quote, but it is.
No, but it's so true. That's one of the lies people.
We all say the same thing, and somebody's going to hear mine better than more attractive.
They do,
and it's the truth.
Yeah, exactly. So when you hear like the world is waiting for you to tell your story, it's true, because you're the only one that can tell it in a way that will reach the people you're meant to reach.
And there's 8 billion people, over 8 billion people now in this world. And, there's enough for all of us. There's no competition, and there is zero competition. It's all, if we don't collaborate and raise each other up, if we're all doing many of us do this similar thing, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be better for somebody than I am, for sure, and whatever. Right? So find somebody that helps with that. And
I agree.
We've got some resources, we've got some solutions, and we got some big ears, because you said people want to be seen, but they also want to be heard. And that was my thing. I just want to be heard. I want to be heard for what I'm saying and what I'm not able to articulate. Right. So there's some ways, that's what coaches tend to do. Right. So, so grateful for you every single week. We got new podcasts coming out, and I am so incredibly, grateful to have you join me today. And another shout out to Brenda Byers of Prosper in all things coaching. So.
Connecting us.
Truly.
Yeah, thank you.
Will you be blessed, and we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Parting is such sweet sorrow. The Charla Anderson Show. encouraging you to stand strong and courageous with bold faith, no fear, immense hope, kindness, and love, especially towards yourself. Visit charlaanderson.com for replays, blogs, and more on her ever-expanding website, as well as watch her live TV show on winwinwomen.tv, Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And so that we can continue learning together and growing this community of beautiful souls, we invite you to share The Charla Anderson Show with your circle of friends. Until we meet again next week, remember always, choose joy.